Welcome to a new episode on Power BI. Imagine you are working for a company and you are working on multiple reports. Imagine, just for an example, we are talking about 20 different reports. And 20 different reports are basically using, let's say, 10 different tables as a data source. That means you have a data source, be it any kind of database. It could be a MySQL database, could be an Oracle SQL database, could be Azure database, could be anything. You have 10 tables. 10 tables are being used in 20 of these Power BI reports. What if you have to do a scheduled refresh? What we usually do is we go to individual reports, semantic models, go to the settings and enable the scheduled refresh. Now what happens when you do scheduled refresh on these kind of scenarios? 20 reports does 20 scheduled refreshes, and imagine one scheduled refresh takes around, let's say, takes around 30 seconds or maybe 1 minute. What really happens is 20 times there is a live connection that is being established with the original data source, and the data is being scheduled refresh again and again and again. So report 1 and then report 2, then report 3, blah blah blah. Now what is the problem here? The problem here is when you are doing a live connection in production environment, it is not a feasible solution. Can we have a solution which will just have just one refresh, because your 10 tables are being refreshed by these 20 reports, which is a repetitive task. In case in the future you have to create 100 more reports taking reference from the same 10 or 15 tables. Now this is where the concept of data flow comes in. Data flow is one of the most important topics related to Power BI. So in this video, we are going to explain you how to do the Power BI data flow setup. We will be taking a similar scenario of multiple reports getting referenced from certain set of tables, and how do we create a data flow which will basically do a single refresh. What are data flows? How do we implement data flows practically? We will be talking about that in this particular video. So see you in the video. Hi, welcome to a new episode on Power BI. My name is Satyajit Pattnaik. I have around 13 years of industrial experience and almost 10 years into the space of data analytics, data science and AI. Today we are going to discuss about data flows. Before implementing data flows, let's try to understand the business problem. Let's try to understand when and where to implement the concept of data flows. So I'll move on to the Miro board. What really happens is, imagine you are working on databases. In today's exercise, we are going to use Snowflake. So I will take Snowflake as one of your data source. In your case, it could be anything. It could be a MySQL database, it could be a Azure database, it could be anything, right? So let's say we have a source database. Imagine you have multiple schemas. Whenever you are working on Power BI, now imagine you have a team. Let's say I'm drawing the workspace. You have a team where you want to create multiple reports. Report 1 till, let's say, report 100. Now imagine all of these reports are selecting multiple tables from your original data source. Now imagine I'm talking about Snowflake. You are going to use 10 to 15 different tables to build all of these reports. Traditionally, what we used to do is we will deploy or publish these reports individually, and our direct data source is Snowflake. So what happens is a semantic model is being created and a report is being created. Semantic model, report, semantic model, report, and like this hundreds of semantic model and hundreds of report are created. So I'm writing it as a semantic model 1, report 1, semantic model 2, report 2, and so on. Semantic model 100 and report 100. And eventually, let's say you have a dashboard. It could be one dashboard, it could be multiple dashboards. Now the problem in this type of setup is you are directly accessing the original data source, right? Maybe this report is using 5 tables, this report is using 7 tables, this report is using 6 tables, but eventually all of these tables are just 10 to 15 tables, right? Now in this case what happens is, individually for every report you have to create a live connection with your original data source, and you have to do a scheduled refresh. So how many refreshes will be done? Hundreds of refreshes will be done, which leads to 100 live connections. And the first question is this viable? Because eventually you will be working on production level environment, right? First of all, is it viable? The answer is definitely no. Because if you create hundreds and hundreds of live connections to your original data source, which is already live on production, it's not wise, because 100 live refreshes will eat up a lot of time and will also impact the overall performance of the database. Now this is where Power BI data flow comes into picture. So data flow is a solution which comes somewhere here in between the original data source. So I'm writing down as original, and this is where the data flow comes into picture. I'm writing down as dflow. So data flow is a new solution which will be consisting of 10 to 15 tables, whichever table you are using for all of these reports. And now you have direct connection to the data flow. That means all the reports present here, they only have one data source, which is the data flow. Eventually data flow is accessing the original data source. Now in this case what happens is, you just have to schedule refresh for the data flow one time. And of course for all of these semantic models also you have to have 100 refreshes or 100 scheduled refreshes. Now you must be thinking, originally there were 100 refreshes, now we have 101 refreshes. How is this a feasible solution? The feasibility is because from the live data source we only have one refresh. Let's say we have 100 refreshes from the data flow, that doesn't really change any performance issue from our original data source, right? From the original data source we are just creating one refresh, that's it. So that is the advantage of data flows. In case you want to have more understanding on data flows, you can go to this location where we have a detailed explanation on how data flow works, when to use data flows. So for this exercise today, what we have is, we have two different reports. Now eventually both these reports are getting connected to just one table, but the idea of today's session or this particular video is to set up the Power BI data flow. Okay, now this particular reports, let me just publish it. So let me use the telco workspace. I will also show you my telco workspace, which is here. Replace, yes, publishing is done. Similarly, I will go to my Similarly, I will go to my Churn report. Now these two reports looks very similar, but they only have one data source, but the dashboard is different, right? You can see this is nothing but a churner details, 1869 records and so on, and these are your entire records. Okay, so eventually these are two different dashboards or reports, but connecting to the single table, and that single table is present where? It is present in my Snowflake. Okay, so let me go to my app.powerbi.com, which is my Power BI service, and you can see two semantic models and two reports are being created. I'll change the view to lineage view, and you will see that here the original data source is Snowflake, here you have the semantic models, and here you have the reports. Now in this case we are using a single table, but as I told you, you can have multiple tables, right? Imagine you are working on hundreds and hundreds of reports. In that case, you have to do scheduled refresh in all of these individual semantic models, and individual semantic models are connecting to the original data source. That means 100 reports, 100 live connections to the original data source. So how do we implement data flows? So to get started, we will click on plus new item and we'll go to data flow. Here I will select define new tables. So I will add new tables. This is where it is asking for choosing the data source. In our case, we are using a Snowflake database. So I will be using Snowflake, and here you go. So I'll try to use this information. I have my warehouse. So this is my connection settings, my server, my Snowflake server. My warehouse that I'm using is innovation. And then I'll click on next. Okay, now you can see a bunch of all the schemas and the tables are being shown here. Okay, in our case, we are using this test schema, inside which we have public, inside which we have customer churn. Imagine you want to select multiple tables. Okay, you can actually select multiple tables like this. Select, and then click on transform data, and your data flow will be ready. But in this example, I just want to use one table, so I'm using customer churn. That's it. I'll click on transform data. This is how my data looks like. And now you can see, I'm pretty much sure this window is very, you must be aware of this window, right? This window is your Power Query window on Power BI service. So here, if you want to do some changes that you used to do in Power BI desktop, you can do. But in our case, I'm not doing any changes. I'm just going and clicking on save and close. I will name my data flow as something. Let's say in this case, I'm working around with customer data. So let's say I will make it as customer data or customer data flow. Click on save. It is asking for you to refresh. You can select scheduled refresh, or you can do a refresh now. Let's do refresh now. I'll go to my workspace, telco, and you can see the lineage model is showing that we have a new data flow, and I can quickly do a refresh. Now refresh is in progress. So you can see there is no connectivity from the data flow to the reports because our reports are still using the original semantic models and the direct connection. One of the advantages of data flow is that you can also check the refresh history. If you click on here, you can see there was an on-demand refresh which we did using this button, and you can always download this report. Let's say data flow refresh and save it, and you will be able to open this and you will be able to check the start time and the end time and so on. Currently it is in progress, but yeah, once your progress is done, you can always download it back and check. So it's refreshed right now. You can again download it, refresh history, and you can see that, let's say I will use the same data set. Done, and I'll open and see that it took me around just 1 second and the refresh is done. That is the advantage of data flows. In original semantic models, you will not be able to see, yeah, you are able to see, but you are not able to download the refresh history. Maybe Power BI has done some changes. Maybe I'll see to refresh this and see whether it is visible properly. No, it's not. It is just showing you the latest refresh. That's it. But here in data flows, you will be able to see, complete history of the refreshes. Okay. Now it's time to switch our reports to connect to the data flows. Go back to your original reports. Click on get data. I'll probably go to the transform data here, and you can see that in my original table, my source is Snowflake, right? Is there an option to change something directly here so that it connects to the data flows? Well, it's going to be a very complicated process. So the easiest process is go to new source, click on data flow, and here you click on Power BI data flows, click on connect. Once you are connected to the Power BI data flows, you will be able to see the different data flows. Let's say I'm using telco, this thing, done. I'm using this table, click on OK, and my data flow is connected. Okay. In my case, it did not ask for authentication because my authentication is already done. In your case, it might ask you for an authentication, which is nothing but providing the server details and host details, which is a easier process and you can do it quickly. Now in my case, I just have one report. In case you have multiple reports, you have to select multiple tables, right? So imagine you have multiple tables here. It will look like this in your Power BI. So let's say you have query 1, query 2, query 3. Imagine you have 3 queries. You have to take all of these 3 queries. It will look like query 1, query 2, query 3. Now these are your data flows, data source, and these are your original Snowflake data source, right? You want to switch them to these, like you want to take the data source settings and switch it to these original queries. So I'll do that. I'll right click, go to advanced editor. I will copy this. I'll click on done. I will right click on the original Snowflake one, go to advanced editor and change it. That's it. Change is done. Once change is done, I don't need this. I will just delete it. Done and dusted. And close and apply. It will take couple of seconds to refresh. And once the refresh is done, you will see the same dashboard. It's just that the data source is changed. I will publish this, save it. I'll publish in the same telco repo or the telco workspace. Done. I'll do the same with my other report. I'll go to Churner's report. I'll go to transform data. I will do the same thing. Create a new data source, data flow, Power BI legacy, and then it will ask for my different data flows. I will be selecting this. Click OK and done. And I will be selecting the advanced editor and I will change it so that my settings are changed, and I will delete my duplicated one. Close and apply. Done. Now one thing is, you can see that, see here it was 1869, right? But now you have 7043. Why? Because in my original settings, I had a filter on for churn equals to yes, but now as we switched it to data flows, my filter is gone. So I will again go to my transform data, and here I will have to do the same settings. Just select yes. That's it, because these are two different reports, right? And once this is done, I will publish the report into my telco. Done. Replace. So this is done and this is done. Now I will again go back to my my app.powerbi service, and just I will refresh it. Now I should be having a lineage graph. It should look like my Snowflake, then the data flow, then the semantic models, and then the report, right? So you can see this part is being introduced, right? So initially what we had was a data source, or else a data source and a data source, and then connected to the semantic model 1, connected to the report 1. That's it. Semantic model 2 connected to the report 2. Now what we have is, we have the data source. From here we have the data flow. From here we have two different semantic model 1, semantic model 1, and the report 1 and report 2. So you can schedule refresh here and also schedule refresh here. So the number of scheduled refresh is increasing by 1, but always remember that you are only making one live connection with your data flows. So if you go here and go to settings, you will be able to go to the refresh button, and here you can turn on and select your refresh, and that's it. can't be updated. One refresh time exists. Okay, so it's asking for a refresh time. Let's say I'm selecting Kolkata, Mumbai, and let's say I'm selecting 9 a.m. or something and apply. So your scheduled refresh is done. Now this scheduled refresh is done on the data flow level, right? You have to do the same settings for the semantic model level as well. And then you are done. Now, in case in your workspace there is a new report that somebody is creating, let's say I will close these two reports, save it and close it. Let's say I want to create a new report. My bad. And what do I need to select as my data source? I need to select Power BI data flow. So here I will select data flow and done. It will ask me which data flow. I want this data flow. Load it. Okay, and let's say I'm randomly doing something. Let's say I'm randomly selecting on churn and my values as well. That's it, and I'm randomly publishing it. Okay, so I'm just giving it a random name, ASD, save it, and then publish it in the telco. Select, done. Now I will go back to my Power BI service and you will see that a new report is being created and it is taking the data flow as a resource, as a data source. And here again you have to go here and do the scheduled refresh. Go to settings and do the scheduled refresh. So yeah, just forget about this. These are some of my internal errors, but yeah, other than that, nothing to worry about. This is how your data flow setup is done. Now, in case you want to okay, one more question could be coming to your head that okay, right now in this data flow I have one table, right? In case I want to add 5 more tables from the Snowflake, yeah, it's possible. You just click here, go to edit, and here you will be able to add tables. So you can add tables. Again, you have to give the Snowflake settings, you give the server details and blah blah blah, and click on connect, and you will be able to add the different tables into this. That's all about data flows. I hope you understood the entirety about data flows. This is a very important concept and one of the most important interview questions being asked in interviews. That's it. See you in the next video. Till then, bye.